Well, I believe we will be getting started with our match very shortly. We have Feng v Flower Fairy, as you mentioned. I do love Feng's battle focus, his take all the econ cards. For those who saw the Radivite group matches this morning, we had a triple super supply game. So,
Amazing.
maybe we'll see something that matches this take all econ card strat again this evening. And of course, Flower Fairy, well known for his very strong defense, which matches the battle focus as well.
Feng, um, and Flower Fairy, I think both could be described as taking all the econ cards. So we
Yeah,
may
yeah,
be
yeah.
seeing a lot of econ cards from both players today. But here we have the new feature for today, the deployment heat maps. Do you want to talk about these?
Sure, I think it's really exciting. So these basically show you the it's a supply heat map specifically, supply and deployments. So the brighter red spots are the spots where the most supplies and deploys are invested, which in this case tells you that Feng prefers only right side, or usually right side if he's going to be aggro, and that he is pretty balanced between both aggro and defense, given the clustering around his towers and also the forward positionings here. Whereas Flower Fairy, by contrast, and this is flipped by the way, since Fairy will be the top player here. Fairy, by contrast, is very defensively focused and also has very strict positionings that he likes using, which is a really
Yep.
interesting defining characteristic, between the two, because like Feng's, and most people's for that matter, is like it's like a big blob, But Fairy is like super, super rigorous. Speaks very like much to his I don't know, I guess like the amount of practice he has with certain positionings and like why he likes to do those positions.
Especially with the square units, it looks like. Lots of these red squares. Puts the arclights exactly here, the marksman exactly here, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm assuming that the behind tower spots probably correspond to like a crawler and a fang, or like one of the other just like vertical, but I'm not too sure. Maybe he
Could
likes
be
his
something like
behind
that.
tower marksmans. But either way, for sure the ones in front of the tower definitely gotta be the arc lights.
I'm surprised I didn't see his storm colors horizontal outside the tower. I always associate that positioning with Flower Fairy.
Yeah, for sure. I think maybe just everything is a square. I'm not too sure on the exact
Mm.
mechanics of how we generate those yet, but they're really, really cool, so I'd love to see those in the
Okay,
broadcast.
so the storms outside the tower were there. They were just a square.
Yeah. Well, looks like Feng has picked up the Rhino Spec Arc Sledge quite quickly. Not much hesitation there. And Fairy has the Sludge Crawler as well. Fairy being Badger, and Feng being Rhino. So how do you feel about
Yep,
these two
and then with these
deploys?
packs, I definitely expect a standard game,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we're starting to see that. Sledgehammer, one of the best standard or defensive packs that you can pick currently, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
both players will have a pretty symmetrical formation to start, and um, I think generally the marksmen are favored for round one just because they have the ability to actually kill some of these units on the enemy side much more quickly. But round one is not terribly impactful, and we'll definitely see more of the variation start to develop in future rounds instead of round one, where it's going to be pretty mirror-like.
Yes, indeed. Also, we have some even more stats for our production value this evening on screen. Fairy has an 82% win rate with Arc Light, by the way. That is quite incredible for a unit that's nearly omnipresent in almost every game, no?
Yeah, maybe it just means Fairy just has pretty much an 80% win rate overall. I wouldn't be
Yeah, yeah.
surprised.
I guess so, right? I mean, it's not something like a War Factory where like you only build it if you're going to win anyways. It's just like you pretty much always have
True.
at least one arc light in your board, so that really should speak to like his overall win rate, right? I think that makes sense.
It may very well. Definitely a monstrously strong player to encounter on ladder. And here we can see, like I said, the marksmen have a very slight advantage round one, are usually going to take it unless
Hmm.
something unlucky happens. But that's just round one. Let's see what the first unit drops bring.
Yep, pretty much always going to shake out this way. Fairy also had the Crawler open, which is very slightly better than the triple Arclight open. Generally
Hmm.
speaking, both players not hesitating on the heavy armor pickup. Unsurprising.
Yes. Both players probably going to put that on a sledgehammer. It's the only tanky unit on the board so far. Might get sold later to put it on a more valuable unit like a sandworm. And interestingly, Feng is going for a round 2 Stormcaller into the sledgehammer opening. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's range v range, you know. It's a storm color on two. Color me surprised, but do you think this is less expected than it has been in previous patches?
I actually think it is. I think against sledgehammer openings, Stormcallers usually don't look very good, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And especially into a heavy armor, the Stormcaller is really gonna struggle to kill these sledgehammers in any timely fashion. So I think the marksmen are gonna be looking very strong this turn as well.
Yeah, I think so too, for sure. Storms definitely seem to really struggle to kill sledges in the current patch. Received quite a lot of damage nerfs, and sledges haven't lately received any HP buffs, but have historically several times that just make them take a billion shots to kill, and the heavy armor, of course, not making it any easier.
Indeed. Alright, so those were just the first 2 rounds. A little bit of damage going over to Feng, but the HP totals are still equal. Here come the first unit drops. With no long-range single target on the board yet, Feng goes straight for the Phoenixes. Flower Fairy also takes the Phoenixes. A lot of times people shy away from the Phoenixes if they already have 3 marksmen on the board, but Flower Fairy saying no. That conventional wisdom doesn't always hold. We just want to spread out the single target all the way across the board, left to right.
Yeah, definitely kind of surprising, although I will say that I feel like I have seen Fairy in particular do this quite a bit, just like doesn't really care if he goes into both. As you said, especially perhaps interested in being able to spread out the sniper units without having to spend more deploys on them. But yeah, I don't know if he intends on. I mean, do you think he's going to lean one way or the other here as far as like marksman or phoenixes for investment, or do you think he just cares about the deploys, or how do you think?
I don't know. I think it's a little too early to tell.
Mm-hmm.
He
Okay.
does enjoy that little badger flank. A little bit annoying to deal with. Feng could have anticipated it and put phoenixes to cover the flanks, but maybe unfortunate for Feng that none of the phoenixes are looking at the badgers.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess for, at least for this turn, on the turn that it's warping in, the storm takes care of it pretty well, and maybe he feels more happy to put something else there later. But this outside of Tower Storm's definitely going to be shooting at whatever he puts in front of it, presumably Crawler if he invests more, or just, gets him to sell it early, who knows. But definitely quite a lot of damage for round 3. My gosh, that's like 1,000 damage for a range range game. That is incredible outcome for Fairy here, I think. Do you think that's
I
because the
just don't
storms,
think the
or
storms are able to kill anything. They couldn't deal with
yeah?
that badger flank either, even though it took the entire time to warp in.
I
That
know,
badger
that's
killed
exactly what I was
most of the
thinking.
pack of the storms and most of those
Yeah.
crawlers.
Yeah, how does that work? Is Badger just like that good, or does Storm just do nothing? It just
A
acted
little
like it
bit of
wasn't even
both.
there. By the way, do you think that Fairy went for this Badger deploy on this flank here to bait Feng's Rhino spec onto the side? Because he goes to the immediate ball read in the exact same side,
Yeah,
obviously
it's
assuming that the Rhino's going to
fascinating.
be there. Like, do you think this is all part of the plan from last round? Just like wants to bait this and go for this for sure?
I think it very much could be. Though I think actually Fire Fairy is so much damage, doesn't necessarily even need the balls to deal with the Rhino.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
maybe scared of the heavy armor going onto the Rhino and then it being just a little bit too difficult to kill.
Yeah, definitely. I guess that would make it much more difficult. Probably could not die to 2 blue marksmen and a phoenix. Definitely will die to a steel ball, though. In this
Yep.
case, it doesn't even have the armor at all, so it's definitely very easy to kill by comparison.
Yeah. I wait, where are the balls going? Oh, 3
Oh,
of them
they
noticed the
they figured it out.
Rhino. That should be good enough.
Yep, they got it.
And steel balls also a little bit difficult for Stormcallers to kill. But this round
Yeah,
is looking a lot better for Feng now that that Badger annoyance is dealt with. That Badger must have really been a big part of why the last round was crushing.
Yeah, for sure. It's shockingly effective for a unit that was warping in for a good 10 seconds while being shot by
Yeah.
storms. That's pretty insane outcome for that badger. Like, I guess the storms just missed. There's no way that they actually just suck that badly, right? They had to have just missed a bunch.
It's
And it is
both,
sitting
it's
still.
both. They killed 2
Okay.
of them, but left the last one untouched, and then they couldn't hit it while it was trying to roll into the batteries later.
Yeah, Stormcaller moment.
Feng, Flower Fairy is going for Markson. We're gonna wonder if he's committing the Phoenixes and Markson equally. Looks like he's bought more Markson, teched range on them. I wouldn't be surprised if eventually the Phoenixes decide to get sold.
Yeah, I will say it's a bit surprising. Yeah, there it comes the Phoenix cell that had the laser sight. I was gonna say it's a bit surprising maybe that he put the laser sight on the Phoenix. I guess it was just to keep it alive longer in the fight, as opposed to the marksman if he intended on committing further to marksman later in the game, but maybe he either A hadn't made that choice yet or B just wanted to keep it alive like I was saying, but yeah, looks like his plan's gonna be to sell to those completely, go more into marksman, and also has some classic ball staying in the back of his board.
Indeed.
At least for right now.
Both players in fact going for the Mustangs. I'm It's an interesting choice. Mustangs can be very vulnerable to spells in standard. That's one of their primary weaknesses. They're
hmm
very good as an anti-missile role. Feng has lots of Stormcallers that could eventually be shut down by Mustang anti-missile if Flower Fairy decides to go for something like that. They're
Yeah, that's
also
very
just
true.
very capable late chaff.
hmm Definitely. Do you think that that is something Fairy wants to do like imminently, given that Feng does have so many storm colors, or do you think that's just like an option on the menu as like a maybe?
I think it's not something that he's thinking about doing imminently, more of a late game option, especially if there's even more commitment into missile based units from Feng's side. For now, it
Okay,
looks like
sure.
he doesn't even need it.
Yeah, definitely does not look like it. I mean, the game so far has looked pretty dominant from Flower Fairy. Surprisingly, the like Rhino Spec turn, I guess that's unsurprising. The Rhino Spec turn for Feng was like the least good one so far, but a bit surprising given that Fairy hard read the Rhino on the right side with a steel ball. Another laser
Hmm.
sights. Also, here's the econ card. Does Feng live up to his battle focus? Does he click the button?
Indeed.
Is he afraid of
Flower
dying?
Fairy didn't even consider the super supply for more than a second or two. A very
Yeah.
quick laser sight take there.
Yeah, do you think that he just values laser sight that highly, or does he just think like 100% he can end the game really soon?
Yeah, I think he definitely might expect Feng to go for the econ play and then say, okay, if you're going for the econ play, I'm just going to tempo you out. And one way
hmm
you can do that is by taking the missile interceptor right now and saying, okay, your storms are now completely useless. And if
Yeah.
you go for the econ card, that could be game ending in one turn.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's definitely the thing that I'm thinking here from either of these players is I'm looking to end the game ASAP, and if I'm Feng, I'm not feeling too happy about my spot being basically within one-shot range with a tempo turn like you mentioned.
Yeah. And that's why Feng decides not to take the super supply, not living up to the name, definitely scamming all of us.
For sure. He's also mana swifting himself, missling at Fairy's Sledge in the middle.
Well,
Kind
to
of
be
surprised
fair,
he hasn't
Harry
sold this
missiled
Rhino.
Feng Sledge last round, so just trading
True,
missiles a little bit.
true. Tit for tat, yeah. Why do you think he hasn't sold this Rhino on the right side, by the way? Is he like bluffing that Fairy sells his ball? Is that what's
It could
going on?
be. He
I
could at
can't
least
imagine what
beacon
else
it
is
to the
here.
other side too, but
I know, right? Yeah. Yeah, you would think he at least is gonna try and like cause some havoc with it. That shows you how little he cares about that Rhino. He's just like, nah, it's not gonna do anything. It's useless. Poor Rhino.
I mean, there's some worlds maybe where the balls die too quickly to kill the rhino. He added a little bit of crawler cover for the rhino as well. So who
Yeah.
knows? Another super supply.
I know
Wow.
it's just like this morning, except it came 2 rounds too late. They could have had the back-to-back super supply range v range game.
We could have had maybe double super supply, and instead both players are scamming us. Nope, no caster being correct. No
I know.
Tag Lions always take econ cards.
Feels bad, man. Both players just trolling this match. Not even trying to make it a game. They're just like, nope, we're just gonna play the tempo game. We don't care. We're here to win. You know, pretty respectable, but also very sad.
We're also saying, oh, we need to make this as much of a mirror as possible, so Feng also getting steel balls because Fire Fairy got steel balls. Now we
Yeah, not
have
really.
the Stormcaller, uh, Arclight, Steel Ball, Mustang comp on both sides. Just marksman versus unranged phoenixes.
Indeed. I will say I have heard some talk as of late about the whole like balls being good in the standard nowadays thing. How do you feel about this? I'm not a range v range player, so I do not ever experience this in my games. What's your experience?
I don't know. I think balls are pretty easy to kill in standard usually,
Okay, that's what I think too, but I don't know. Both these
but
players are way
there's
better at standard
still
than
a
I am.
tanky unit.
True. Yeah.
Oh, there's the fire. This is the weakness of Mustangs in general in standard. It's so hard to defend them against spells like this oil, which is immediately lit on fire. The
Yeah,
bright side
100%.
for Feng is that it only kills one pack of Mustangs.
Yeah, true. I mean, it is causing his Phoenixes to die earlier on that left side. I think it killed half of his pack of Storms as well, so it's going to lead to a lot of damage coming through on left. Maybe even
Yeah,
enough for lethal? It's like
Feng
really
has
close.
1500 HP.
I think it's like 200 off, right? Really, 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 really close.
Very close.
Oh,
93.
that is that's one marksman off. That
Oh
is
my
very,
goodness.
very near lethal. More fire, of course.
Did you did you enjoy the fire last turn? Time for some more.
Yep. Bearlight says, "Oh, that looked pretty effective. Let's have that again." Which I'm thinking neither player is like too excited here about seeing this fire, given that they both have the uber late Mustangs that could very easily die to it unless they draw some like very, very, very not greedy bubbles. Probably neither player is going to be that not greedy though, I'd imagine. Maybe like Fairy in this middle orange Mustang, possibly, but probably not, right?
Yeah, you can see that Fairy is a lot less greedy with the fire than he was with the oil. You expect a
Mm-hmm.
lot of shields to come out when fire is literally in the cards.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
makes a lot of
Wow.
sense.
Fairy does go for the not greedy bubble on the ball staying pack back there. Maybe he
Indeed.
thinks that Feng wants to try and use his Rhino to like take that tower this round with that fire, perhaps.
Yeah, you can often go for a flank on that sort of corner to keep
Mm-hmm.
the Mustangs in place while you fire them. And then you can also probably keep the balls from killing the Rhino with the same sort of move.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
delay
That's what I
things
was
enough.
thinking. Yep. That's probably why Fairy goes to that fire on this side as well, too, right? Trying to play around that possibility, make sure there's no shenanigans happening, make sure you can finish the game nice and clean.
That would make a lot of sense.
Well, I gotta
Wow.
say, I did not think this Rhino was still gonna be here. It is round 8. This guy is still just trucking along. No beacon, no nothing, no help, no team in sight. He is
Indeed.
He's a trooper. Just dying every round. Feng does not care. He says, this Rhino is useful, we're keeping him.
At this point, yeah, even the marksman should be able to kill the Rhino pretty effectively by themselves.
Yeah, definitely. Although the
Yeah,
balls
the balls
actually
didn't do
died this
very
time.
much.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, the Arclight's eventually learning how to kill the steel balls. Maybe even the Phoenix is landing some shots too. Wait, how come it looks like Feng is winning now? What
It
happens?
does. I guess Feng with the 4 bubbles and the loan just
I guess,
barely
yeah.
has enough to take the round against Fire Fairy. Going to be 300 credits down the next turn, but going to also be very happy to be alive.
Yeah, definitely. Being poor is a lot better than being dead. And there is some really, really quick drop clicks there. All I really even saw was the Scorp and the Sandworm.
Yeah.
Fairy immediately says, the Sandworm is the pick. We are going for a tower. Oh my god, triple for AA recruits. Okay, well,
Wow,
that might
Fire
end the game.
Fairy so decisive this round.
Yeah,
Takes the
he knows
sandworm
exactly what he wants.
instantly, sells the sledge, gives it the armor, buys 3 anti-air forts for the teched phoenixes. You've committed
Yeah,
to the phoenixes, now I'm gonna counter them.
yeah, 100%. So decisive. Had his whole turn done at 74 seconds. I mean, he has 500 supply left, but like, there's nothing left to do with that supply. It's just going to levels, temp range, temp speed, missile shields. Nothing of note. He knew exactly what he wanted to do the second he saw the cards.
Indeed. But you know what I've noticed? The
What's that?
rhino is gone.
Oh no, he sold a specialist. The story. What are we supposed to do now? The Rhino's story is gone.
He didn't even beacon it once.
I know.
It
That
was too
poor Rhino,
young.
man. He's neglected. Oh, it's also range storm for Feng, by the way. How do you feel about that? Like, Incendiary now gives a range malice nowadays, and is he saying, like, he wants to win the storm 1v1 to, like, benefit his... I don't know. What do you make of storm range?
Yeah, just generally creates better engagements for the Stormcaller throughout the fight, but it's also an investment into a unit that may not be super decisive this round.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking,
Especially not
too.
very good against sandworms. The range
Yeah,
tends to get wasted when sandworms come into play.
for sure.
That
I'm
said,
wondering, too, like, are
Farfairy
these...
stacking all of these forts on one side, definitely going to kill a lot of phoenixes there. Make it so that nothing at all can kill the sandworm on this side. And Feng's going to have to dominate the other side in order to stay alive here.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, right? Like, he wants to make sure that one side wins at any cost, and if that, all those units live, if any of those units live, really, then the game ends, right? So, I
Yeah,
think it makes...
Feng's basically hoping to scam all the anti-air and win via phoenixes here, and it's not going to happen. Uh-oh. Very
Yeah,
close, but that one marksman cleans up the last phoenixes, and now nothing can kill the sandworm. Feng's at 93 HP.
and that is the game. One sandworm diff. Excellent play
Wow.
from Fairy to finish the game.
GG.
And that is the turn he made in about 15 seconds, by the way.
Indeed.
He knew exactly what was lethal here. Excellent, very clean play from Fairy. Finish that one out.
Indeed. Scorpions were not able to kill the fortresses. If it won another round, maybe they would be acid scorpions. Definitely a lot more capable at killing units like sandworm and fortresses in standard.
Yeah, for sure. And Feng definitely knew that something like this was coming out this turn, probably is why he also snap picked his Scorps, but did not get it done. And also, notably, this whole like 82% Arclight win rate thing for Fairy, definitely looking real right about now, huh?
Yeah, I mean, Fairy, back in the day, I thought of him as a big Vulcan Marksman player, playing Vulcan Marksman every game. I haven't seen very many Vulcans from him this patch. He definitely still enjoys the Arclights in standard, and he's been playing very tempo heavy with the Arclights. Saying if you go Vulcan, my like Arclight Stormcaller Worm comps are definitely going to tempo you out of the game before you can get online.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really exciting too, compared to the like Vulcan Marksman standard range games of old, because man, those games are super sleeper. I feel like those would go to like round 12 or like round 13, like every